It's October, which means we have officially entered the spooky season. What best way to start off the month than by revisiting an old LEGO theme, the Fright Nights. In this video, I revamped the Fright Nights castle, as well as the characters seen in this old LEGO theme. So without further ado, let's get started. The first set I'd like to revisit is set 6037, Fright Nights Witch's Windship. This set is said to have released in 1997. The set features a flying ship that combines elements of fantasy and spookiness. The ship has a unique, eerie aesthetic, resembling a blend of a pirate ship and a gothic flying vessel, and seems to be carried by the iconic LEGO dragon that I'm sure all of us LEGO fans are familiar with. My version excludes that iconic dragon since, unfortunately, I do not have the luck to own it. It's extremely rare and quite expensive to find one in good condition. I based the design off of another original LEGO theme. Elves went with the red and black color scheme and added various bat wings. I also included various shrines, potions, and artifacts. A gold saber, mysterious minerals, a compass, amongst other things. We can also add a small cauldron inside before we seal it. Let's build the roof and add a telescope. I used a red skull found in the recent CMF and used it for the witch's crystal ball at the front of the ship. Speaking of which, I also revamped Willa the Witch. I had some inspiration from the spider lady found in series 14 of the LEGO CMF series in terms of design. Tedious web design for the waist and cape, but came out looking pretty decently. I also gave her yellow hollow studs for the cuffs and chose to give her a head found in the Space Police theme because it vaguely resembles a spider's face. But the ship also needs someone in charge of the helm to navigate the skies. Using an attire from Ninjago, I made a simple pirate belonging to the Fright Night faction. I'm pleasantly surprised on how this came out. I wasn't sure I was going to manage to build something that truly fits the aesthetic of this faction, but I think the bat wings and crystal ball really bring it all together. Before taking a look at the castle, let's take a look at the Fright Nights themselves. One of my favorite custom figures I've ever made is this Red Knight, clearly inspired from yet another CMF figure that I unfortunately do not own. The legs, arms, hands, armor, and helmet are painted silver. I managed to achieve a nice texture for the silver armor, which I really liked. Apart from that, I also made a custom waist tassel and tattered cape. Used a black head so that the character looks dark and mysterious. I gave him a kite shield with the Fright Night emblem and long sword. I also made a simple pikeman using the basil chest piece, black helmet, shoulder armor, and cape. A character that I found interesting is this Black Knight that seems to be one of Basil the Batlord's higher-ranking followers. I reimagined this character using modern parts, although I wish I had that original helmet because it's a lot cooler. This Black Knight intimidates his opponents on top of his trusty, ghastly steed, maybe even capturing opponents to bring to Basil the Batlord. Speaking of which, we saw a modernized version of Basil the Batlord earlier this year, with a fancy exclusive helmet and deadly blood axe. Not to mention the amazing cape with the Fright Nights emblem printed on it. Definitely one of the best figures released this year. My version is a bit simpler though. I split his axe into two, gave him a waist cape, black armor piece, and remade the bat logo into this custom cape. I replaced the head because the eyes of this face print look a bit more fierce. My version definitely doesn't beat the original, but I think it has a certain charm. The castle is sectioned into 4 main parts. The castle gates, 2 leading towers, and the main tower. The gate is pretty basic in design, but has plenty of space to pose soldiers. The left tower is where the dungeon is located. You can see various rats lurking around, and that's where members of opposing factions end up. On the top floor there's a tempting jewel that lures intruders into a trapdoor. We can connect it into the gate. The right tower has 3 floors. The bottom floor has a spear rack that is built with basic pieces. For extra decor, I also built a torch light to place in there. Moving on to the second floor, This is where the dungeon key is located. I made a simple stand for it to hang on. A barrel with a couple axes and arrows is also located here. I decided to build a weapons rack, specifically for swords. They slot in as so, and are easily accessible for when the time comes. The top floor simply has a shrine with a cube from D&D lore. I think this build derives from LEGO Harry Potter sets. Moving on to the main castle tower, it has 5 separate floors. I did not have many ideas for the ground floor, so I just placed a basic table with a candle. The second floor is the one that's a lot more interesting, the witch's chamber. Here you can find various potions and artifacts. If you don't have any vial pieces, you can simply make them out of only 2 pieces. If you're like me, you probably have a lot of these ghost heads from the Hidden Side theme. You can use them for an interesting shrine to display in your builds. I also found this spellbook that I decided to display in this room with the very basic build. Every witch needs their trusty broom, so we will put it here. Next floor is for Basil the Batlord. Here is where he stores his gear. Building a basic weapon stand, we can place Basil's axes here. I also decide to display Basil's fancy cape here. By stacking a few bricks, we can display this incredible cape and top it all off with bat decor. The next floor is a simple balcony, not much to see here. The final floor is where the witch's cauldron is located, as well as some red potions needed for her brewing. Before taking a look at the entire castle, let's get back to the witch's cauldron. If we throw in a green eye, a red fang, some bark, bones, and activate it with green flames, the witch managed to craft an egg that later hatches into a dragon. That's it for this video. I hope LEGO would consider revamping some of these classic LEGO themes. I plan to revisit some of LEGO's best retired original themes in the future. Let me know what's your favorite castle faction in the comments. Anyway, until next time.